What up, people? Coach V, New Breed Boxing. Great question from my man Antonio. Two-part question. He asked, when should I turn professional, and do I need an amateur background to turn professional? Great question. So to answer the second part first, it depends on where you live. Some states require a minimum of a couple of amateur fights before they approve you. Other states and countries have no minimum experience required. You can learn on the job, and as long as you pass the medicals and pay the fee, you're going to get approved. That's it. Again, that's a terrible idea. I think you should have at least a little bit of experience in the amateurs, just because it'll inoculate you to all the circumstances that happen, pre-fight, like, dealing with the crowd, dealing with the officials, dealing with other fighters, other coaches. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't happen in a boxing gym that you're going to get exposed to when you start competing. And, the more experience, I think, the better to an extent. Do you need 300 amateur fights like 400 amateur fights like Lomachenko or one of those guys? To me, I think that's overkill. Unless you live in a communist country where you're not allowed to fight, for up to a certain point, I don't think you should wear yourself out like that. You're killing your window of time, and you're also wearing your body out. If you're that talented, guys used to want to get to the Olympic level and win a gold medal. Then you have the promoters fighting over you. You got some leverage to negotiate. That's basically the ideal scenario. They're talking about getting rid of boxing in the Olympics, so that might not even be an option. So just to go off of how much experience you should have, I think 50 to 100 amateur fights with a winning record, preferably winning a couple of big tournaments. I think at that point, you've seen enough to where, sparring in the gym with some good pros in between those fights, and then in preparation to turn pro, as long as you can hang with some good pros and you're learning some new things, because there's things that you can get away with in the pros you can't in the amateurs. And the structure of the fights is a little different, that is something I think if you're looking to have a career, a real career, a successful career as a professional boxer, you want to have that nice balance of, preserving yourself by not fighting amateur for too long, but at the same time, making sure you've seen enough to where you can minimize the amount of surprises you're going to deal with. So that's my personal opinion. Again, that's a conversation between you and your coach. But if you want to get into the sport professionally, make sure that you got the right team behind you. And if you got a good coach, he should be linked in with some good promoters and managers. And hopefully that would be, the right, combination of people around you. Because, you going at it without a team is going to be a tough road, man. And, nowadays they have a monopoly on the game professionally, to the point where if you don't have the right people in your corner, even if you are a great fighter, you won't even get the best fights. Look at Errol Spence and Crawford. It's a perfect example. But hopefully at some point the commissions, the sanctioning bodies, I don't know, whoever's in control of that can step in and make things mandatory. But until then, make sure that you have the credentials to get brought in the game by the right people that can take you as far as they can take you. So that's my opinion on it. If you know of somebody that made it big without an amateur background, throw that in the comment section. I've seen a few guys do okay, but ideally, that amateur program does groom you and prepare you for the pros. Anyway, hope you found this informative. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Go check me out on Instagram at coach.v_. Till the next time we out of here. Out.